Hello there. This is Shelby Erickson, and I am starting to present my capstone here. My capstone was the impact of consonant vowel consonant words for first grade students, and it was through Western Governors University for the Masters of Science in Curriculum and Instruction. My research topic is looking at and using reading consonant vowel consonant words to build foundational reading skills for first grade students. And there just is a very struggling group of students that have a lack of phonological awareness foundations in our current systems that we're using for curriculum. And so the topic that I propose for my action research study is centered around the impact of reading consonant vowel consonant words and have daily practice for students. The topic aligns with the program because it's centered on filling in those gaps for curriculum and instruction with the foundational reading skills for my students. And I just want to help them build the best reading skills that they can. My research problem statement is there's a problem with first grade students' achievement of accurately reading single syllable consonant vowel consonant words, and all students in my class are at least one grade level behind in reading, and they really need to master consonant vowel consonant words to build the phonological awareness skills so that they are able to read. This may be occurring because of our lack of resources in our curriculum, and we're not meeting the students' academic needs centered around those relationships of phonemes and letter sounds, or possibly because of our COVID-19 pandemic and students missing a lot of school last year and this year as well. My research question is, what impact does consonant vowel consonant words instruction for 30 minutes daily for a 12-day period have on students' ability to accurately read CVC words for 15 students in an elementary classroom of a high poverty ages 6 and 7? The instructional unit that I will be presenting and working with is centered around the research problem and the action taken in data collection and a plan for the future of how I can implement this. I'm going to do a pretest that will tell me how well they know CVC words, and then I will begin instruction for 30 minutes daily with the whole class and 5 minutes daily intervention with each student individually. After a 12-day instructional period, I'm going to administer a post-test of CVC words and analyze the pretest and the post-test into two categories and see how the understanding of students increased or didn't or stayed the same. The data analysis of my whole class will give me support on whether it's impactful to have the instructional unit around CVC words for my 15 students in my research study. And I will analyze the trends and data for future instruction for students and staff members. The methodology is the purpose of this study is to see if the CVC words, after being taught the lessons, have increased and their knowledge has increased after the 12-day instructional period to build those foundational reading skills. This action study aligns to the problem of students' ability to read the consonant vowel consonant words accurately, and the action study research project is meant to see if it addresses this problem and provides a solution for students in my classroom to help them read CVC words better. The intent of this is to collect data, see if it impacts my students' learning, and if it does, then implement those future lessons for future students to help their reading. The data collection and analysis methods is the one pretest and one post-test on reading CVC words, and there will just be the two assessment data points after the 12 days of instruction. The post-test will be given, and before the 12 days of instruction, the first initial pretest will be given. It's a paper pencil test of just printed nonsense words such as fov and tog. They have 1 minute to see how many words they can read accurately. The assessment will be administered by me and in our classroom environment at a table. The students will only be counted for one word read correctly if they read the whole word. So if the word is jip, they have to read jip. If they segment any of the sounds and say j, ip, then it doesn't count. It's just individual sounds that count, not a whole word being read fluently together. The data collection instruments that I'll be using are just a couple different copies of CVC words, a student tracking sheet to compile their data, a timer, and the interactive lessons and practice for the whole class lessons. Here's a representation of the data. So the students are numbered 1 through 15. It shows their pretest score. If they read, most of them read 0. There's a few that read 3 and 5. And then after the 12-day lesson series, here is the post-test. So only one student stayed the same, number 15 stayed at 0, and all other students increased in the data. Here's another representation of the mean, median, and mode, and another bar graph showing the pre-test versus post-test scores and the growth seen from each student. So my results and conclusions. The use of instructional interventions for these CVC words has very, very positively impacted the ability of my students to read and accurately read CVC words. All except one student who remained the same, and that student is a monolingual student, and so that could have impacted their test scores. The quantitative data results show that all students improved. So the average in the beginning was 1.2 words read, and the average on the post-test was 8.9 words that were accurately read in 1 minute. So the pre-test shows that only 4 of the 15 students could read any words at the beginning, and 11 out of 15 couldn't read a CVC word correctly in 1 minute. And then by the post-test, 14 out of 15 students increased their scores and could read a CVC word correctly. Overall, the data collected shows that improves that using this instructional support to teach CVC words increases their ability to accurately read CVC words. So some of the strengths and weaknesses of the study. A major strength was the involvement that I saw from my students and the intrinsic motivators to help them learn and keep learning. These 6 and 7-year-olds were building words with dice and sorting and arranging and reading and building their phonological awareness and reading words. The second strength was it promoted a deeper understanding and confidence of for my students in their ability to read those CVC words. One of the weaknesses is definitely the restrictions that we have in school this year due to COVID, with 6 feet apart and masks and all of the restrictions we have. I wasn't able to use a lot of or any peer interaction or games, which I could have done and helped to build some of those skills. So it was mostly just all individual work, which was a weakness. Some influential factors that may have affected my study was the COVID pandemic, and all restrictions made it very individualized and not a lot of group work due to that fact. And so we weren't able to do a small group setting or work with partners. And then also absences. So kids that are sick, they have to quarantine if they have COVID. If they have COVID symptoms, but if they are sick, they still have to be symptom free for 24 hours. So absences here and there of students missing school definitely impacted and were a factor. For further investigation, I would just want to recommend that these CVC words on these lessons are presented and used in grade levels before first grade and after. So for kindergarten and second grade, they'd be great tools for them to work on phonological awareness and build their skills, because they're just foundational reading skills, and they're going to be beneficial and impactful to students in previous grades, in my grade, and in future grades to promote learning and reading for their future. So that is my research, and those are my findings. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.